I be the difference. Difference they need me to be. Difference I'm needing to see. While follow, I'm taking the lead. I be the difference. Difference they need me to be. Difference they needing to see. While follow, I'm taking the lead. I be the difference.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to Kickin' It with Kanhya. Join me on my journey to becoming an attorney. From police officers to chiefs, from lawyers to judges, I'm digging deeper into the African American perspective of what it's like to be on the right side of the justice system.
No mask on. Same man with a badge on, a badge off. Deep box off pics, I shake traps off. I'm an enigma, I'm over the stigma. A glitch in the system, I'm living. True Muslim or Christian, whatever. Same brick, build a build your wall up. I'm down for whatever to build all up. Take notes of what Marvin Gaye taught us. The world won't change on its own, it takes all us. World won't get no better, world won't get no better if we just, world won't get no better if we just let it be. Bring no hate around my chakra. Get it done with love is my mantra. Get it done anywhere, Black Sinatra. Black can't go up, put the seeds on my fracture. Izreal, I'm the amplifier. Sacktown, downtown, I'm kicking it with Kanhya.
He did that. Okay.
What's up, girl?
What's up? Hold on.
Just out here with the melanin and downtown, just...
Right, glowy skin, everything.
That's it?
Got the graffiti in the back.
You know about these people?
King Khalid? Yeah, of course.
I'm gonna kick it, but before we kick it, I just need to let you know. So this is Ali Trotter. He was just an amazing person here on the Sacramento hip-hop scene, supported everyone, nothing but love. He passed away, and this is the King Kahali, also known as Doughy Rock, probably one of the most fierce MCs in Sacramento. So I just had to let you know where we kicking at. This is like hollowed hip-hop ground right here, so show respect. Got you, all right. What's up, girl?
Nothing much. What's up? You just come spitting bars, hitting flows. Okay, we see it.
That's what I am. I'm just feeling the vibe. Please don't kill it.
That's good. Please don't kill it. I like that line.
So what's up?
So guys, we came here today. We are here downtown and we have Phil, aka MC Freaky. No, I'm kidding. We have Phil here with us today and we are going to be talking about some very important topics, but we're going to be kicking it also. So it's such a nice surprise to have someone as amazing as Phil here with us today on Kicking It with Kanhya. So Phil, what inspired you to really become an artist?
Well, see, I grew up in New York City, so I didn't move to Sacramento until 1995. So I won't reveal my age just yet, but let's just say I grew up with hip hop, and so just being from New York and being at that time, it was just around us. Like, it wasn't a business yet.
Right.
You know what I mean? It wasn't a multi-billion-dollar thing at the time. It was just something that we just did in my neighborhood, I felt like. And so I just got attached to it, and I don't know, it just became my chosen form of expression. So as it evolved and as I got older, and probably around 2001, I started actually recording. Yeah, it's just been something that I've always done. You know, that's the best way I can answer that question.
So I asked, how did you go from being this rapper and recording in the studio to becoming a crime-fighting cop of the streets of Sacramento, California?
So you're just gonna tell all my business, huh? So it's interesting because when I tell people that my music career led me to my career change. So I was a technician. I went to Sac State for electrical engineering. I worked as an electronics technology professional. I worked for Pacific Bell. That was like the big phone company at the time. And about that same time, I started going to church. And the opportunity came for me to do music in the church. And so when I started traveling around and meeting kids and meeting young people, and you know, they started telling me about their problems and their issues and relating to what I wrote about, it just kind of changed me inside. And it just gave me this big desire to do something different. You know what I mean? Something where I wanted to feel like I was like really making a difference like every day. So I didn't venture out to be a cop, but it just kind of happened. I was looking for a new position, and it literally just jumped at me.
That's great. That's great. That's such an amazing, not a coincidence, but like I feel like this is kind of destiny, because I dibble and dabble in rapping here and there, and I want to be an attorney, right?
Okay.
And actually, that's kind of where it started for me too. I got into church before. It was just writing random stuff here and there. Then I got into church and I was on the worship team. It like really changed me in my perspective of like, okay, maybe I need to do something different with my life to really not so much as just be writing for a meaningless reason, but to be really writing to get something out there, to get something said and heard. Some rappers, they just rap about the same stuff all the time, every day, but they're big. I want to be big and have people be like, dang, okay, she's hitting on this point, she's hitting on that point and that point. And I also want to be an attorney where they're sitting in the courtroom like, oh, she's hitting on that point and that point and that point. Just be hitting from all different angles.
Well, I'll tell you what. So it's interesting that you want to be an attorney. So, I've been in court a lot.
Right.
So, and I've obviously, I've been a witness for the prosecution. That's usually what I am, right? But the one thing that I always found interesting about court proceedings, it's that everyone gets the same information. So, the prosecution side and the defense side, they all get the same information, but the only thing that's really different is how the attorney presents it, right? So it's like anybody could rap. Right? Technically.
Right.
We learned how to rhyme words together,
First grade.
First grade. Okay, so what does that mean for you is now that you have this desire in your heart to change things, it's like now you've got to figure out how do you present your case on paper. You know what I mean? Or when was the last time you wrote a rhyme? You write?
I write on paper. I don't.
But do you have a composition notebook?
I have like 7 composition notebooks, all from back when I started. Yeah, my notebooks are, once they fill up, I don't just throw them away. Of course, I put them to the side so that I can see how I'm evolving over my rap career. Like I'll look at a notebook that I was just working in last week, and then I'll look at one that I worked in back when I was 13, and I'll be like, oh, okay, like wow, the change is really like, your vocabulary gets bigger, and you really you learn different stuff, so you start rapping about different stuff because you want to hit on different topics. So
I like the fact that you have this this goal to be an attorney, because like a lot of people say, well, man, like you've done all this stuff in music, like if you didn't have a job you could even be bigger. And I'm like, well, maybe not. I said, because the thing that I like about having a career is that it allows me to be freer with my music, because I could just make music that I love. I don't have to make music to make money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I like that quote.
So it's like,
keep that one.
So it's like my music for me, and I'm not against, hey, that's one, if you can make money if you can make money rapping as opposed to doing other stuff, that's great.
Right.
But for me, I think my greatest thing that I'm so thankful for is that I get to keep my music pure. I get to keep it for the purpose of, for me, it's, introducing people, to God's love in some kind of way. And my profession, I also do that same thing in a different way, but because I don't have to worry about rapping for money, I get to just have that message be the most important thing. So that's I'm really thankful for that, actually. So
hey, I see you have Be the Light on your tattoo, and I know the song is called Be the Difference. What's the connection with that?
Man, you asking me deep stuff. Well, this is, I feel like we could all agree there's a lot of darkness in the world, and somebody told me something interesting when I was younger. They said it doesn't matter, the deepest darkness can be cut apart by the smallest light. So there will always be darkness, but wherever there's light, that darkness gets split. So it's like, you can't always look for somebody else to solve the problem. Sometimes you got to be the solution. So where there's darkness, you have to inject yourself in there, and you have to be the light.
When I heard your song, when I first heard it, I wanted to use it for my intro, because I'm like, this is so, like you use the word pure. I'm like, wow, like you have this officer who's really professional at his job, and he's you know, he's really doing his job, and then you have this rapper that just like he transforms into like this rapper that's still keeping it 100 and keeping it pure, and he's not ashamed. He's not trying to hide two lives. He's not trying to live two double lives and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be an officer over here, but then I'm gonna go and I'm gonna hit the studio and not nobody know. It's like you incorporated your police officerness into your music video, which was really it was
I'll tell you something that's funny. It's one of the projects that I did, the studio that I recorded the project in is like the same studio that Mozzie records in.
Oh wow!
So it was funny because, you know, me and the engineer would just have some interesting conversations because he was like, man, like, you know, there's a night and day difference, but he'd always say, he was like, man, but the thing that's the same is that you guys both write about what you experience.
Right.
You know.
Right.
But he said the only difference is both of you do it really well. You know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, I'll take that. But I think for me too, it's the fact that when you're in the hip hop culture, it's embedded in you to be truthful.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
Not the hip hop business, but the hip hop culture. It's embedded in you to be truthful. So that's why in that song I have that line, like, I'm the same man with a badge on and badge off. It's like the sensitivities and the things that I care about, because I'm embedded in the hip hop culture, I bring that to the police department. So when I go to certain calls or whatever, it's like, I don't see it as, I can't believe they're doing this.
Right.
I see it more in the terms of, I get that. You know, it's still wrong.
Exactly.
But it allows me to have an empathy because I understand how you can get here. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. So, and then when probably about the time that I wrote my second album, I had been on the street for about 2 years, and it gave me a really different perspective. And because I'd never experienced street life, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I was never in the street. You know, I mean, I grew up poor, but my mom's just like, nah, son, you're not outside, you're not into that. You know what I mean? So it gave me a real perspective, something that I was able to bring to the music.
That's amazing. That's really inspirational. And like what you said about being truthful in politics, the field that I'm wanting to go in, that I'm steering towards, there's like, you know, everybody knows not a lot of truth. So I understand like the difficulties of me that it's going to be staying in my truth, but I don't think it'll be very hard for me because my roots, like, you know, I write about, you know, everything that I feel, and I don't have no filter feeling saying it. So right. I don't think there's really no reason to lie if you have nothing to hide.
Can I give you a little wisdom?
Wisdom.
All right, so I think whenever you endeavor to really expose yourself, because if you're going to help people, you're going to expose yourself.
Exactly.
Right? This is something that I've said to different groups and things, to different young people, is something that can really help you as you move forward is, okay, so I was in the military, I was in the Navy, I was on a huge ship. And like the ship that I was on was literally bigger than this building. It was an aircraft carrier with like 100 planes on it, okay? But that ship, whenever it had to turn, right, was moved by a rudder. Small, you know, flap of metal in the back underneath that you can't see. It's deep, right? So kind of like your roots have to be deep. The rudder is deep, but the rudder is going to determine where you go, which direction you go.
Right.
Okay? The other thing that's important on a ship is an anchor. So when we would pull into port, as big as that ship is, the waves would move it, right? So in order to stay where you need to be anchored. So I'll say to you is, figure out in your life what your anchor is, and figure out in your life what your rudder is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So for me, like, my family is my anchor. Anything that draws me away from my family, I'm not rocking with it. Like, if somebody was to offer me a tour or something or whatever, and it drew me away from my family, like, I can't rock with that or whatever. So my family is my anchor. What determines my direction, my rudder, is my faith. So I do what God says do.
Right.
So even like for now, like, you know, even with all the things swirling around in our country, you know, racism, social justice, all these different things, I always will look at it in perspective of, you know, it sounds corny, but what would Jesus do, you know?
Right.
And so that's me. My anchor is always going to be my family. My rudder is always going to be my faith. So then that way, I don't get confused by the politics of this world.
That was inspirational. Like, that was just a lot to take in, a lot to think about. And I mean, like, yeah, I'm glad that I'm getting all of this right now, right before I go
But I got
to
a question
kickoff.
since I'm kicking it.
All right, go ahead.
I need to hear these bars.
Oh, okay. I don't know about
I
that.
need to hear these bars.
No, I'm a
Can
little
I?
rusty. Back in my day, we didn't rap on camera. No, I'm kidding.
Let me get a little 4 bars or something.
Okay, let me think. I got you.
But you got to do the rapper thing first.
All right.
You got to be like, all right, check me out. Look, check it out. Yeah, look. Yo.
All right, got you.
Go.
I'm the hope for the next generation to come. How can I help every race become one? Maybe through music, but if I'm gonna prove it, I gotta start motivating the young. This is the life that I wanted forever, that I can inspire the young to be better. Use what I've been through to make an example. I walk through the fire so they could be better. Trying to be something to get to the top. Start off with nothing, cause that's what I got. I'm trying to be real, not be what I'm not. I'm on my own time. I got my own clock.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you. Kicking it.
With Kanhya.
And that's all for Kicking It with Kanhya. Thank you guys for joining us. Let's go, Chief.
I be the difference, yeah. I be the difference. I be the difference. I be the difference, yeah. I be the difference. I be the difference.